Good day. Welcome. Welcome. Just going to give it a minute or two and see who comes on the chat. Make sure the cell phone is turned down. I wanted to connect with everyone today and talk about the topic of meditation. Meditation. Okay. So welcome. Welcome, Anna. Welcome. All right. So today I'm going to touch a little bit on the importance of getting to know yourself. Remember that song? Getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Never claimed I was a singer. But we can reverse that and say, you know, getting to know myself, getting to know all about me. It's really important that we redirect our information and knowledge seeking instead of it being outside of ourselves almost exclusively. For most people, they decide to look for knowledge in books and teachers and this or that, but really neglect the inner landscape, which quite honestly is the only landscape that is going to truly give you a grounded foundation and a really good sense of self. So let's go ahead and hit the chimes. Got my little oil lamp going here, since candles are something that I burn through quite quickly, and I love light. I love fire. I'm one of those people who, even in my late 40s, I'm still in awe. For instance, I'm still in awe of the radio and the television. I remember when I was a little girl, I knew that people were full size and they existed, you know, and they were musicians. But I also believed that there were tiny versions of the same people, and those people would go into the radio and play their music. Even though I knew that the people weren't really there, I still knew that they were there, and that is how the music came out of the radio. So anyway, and fire is one of those things. I mean, wow, just think about, you know, I guess it's the molecules, you know, all of that is going around ferociously and making the flame. But wow, fire is just, it's an amazing element, much like water. How does water make us wet? You ever think about that? Those are the things that I thought about when I was a child, and I still think about them now. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a nice deep centering breath and enter into this sacred circle. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Laura. All right. So I'm going to set this right over here. So what do I want to talk about first? First, let's see. The one thing about olive oil, it doesn't quite burn as hot as the traditional paraffin oils. Okay, so I want to do some reading from the Tao Te Ching to get us started. And I turned to chapter 31. And of course, when I opened the book and I turned to chapter 31, I thought it was very, very appropriate. So Tao Te Ching, chapter 31. And as usual, I will read from 4 different copies, translations. Chapter 31. Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing the self is enlightenment. Mastering others requires force. Mastering the self needs strength. He who knows he has enough is rich. Perseverance is a sign of willpower. He who stays where he is endures. To die, but not to perish, is to be eternally present. And that's the Tao Te Ching, chapter 31. And our next Tao Te Ching is, here you go, Stephen Mitchell, chapter 31. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on one second. I just wanted to double check. I'm pretty sure I was in chapter 31. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry, chapter 33. I was reading chapter 33. Because I knew when I changed to this one, and I admit I am a slightly dyslexic when it comes to numbers. When I looked at this one, I was like, this chapter 31 is a lot different from that one. But it's chapter 33. Yes, DJ, 33. So 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. Sometimes when, like I said, I generally open randomly to pick something to read, and a lot of the times it's very appropriate. I forgot to trim my wick today. It's usually very appropriate for what I wanted to share. So 33. Knowing others is intelligent. Knowing yourself is enlightened. Su Che Che Ming. Conquering others takes force. Conquering yourself is true strength. Knowing what is enough is wealth. Forging ahead shows inner resolve. Hold your ground and you will last long. Die without perishing and your life will endure. 33. This is a good one. And here's the last translation. He who knows men is clever. He who knows himself has insight. He who conquers men has force. He who conquers himself is truly strong. He who knows when he has got enough is rich. And he who adheres assiduously to the path of Tao is a man of steady purpose. He who stays where he has found his true home endures long. And he who dies but perishes not enjoys real longevity. And there you go. Chapter 33 from the 4 different versions of the Tao Te Ching. that chapter turned out to be quite appropriate for what I wanted to share today. And I wanted to share today on the topic of getting to know yourself, on truly knowing yourself. And you probably ask, she always says that. Why does she always have to keep harping on the same topic? Why? Because I truly believe that when you really take time to sit in silence, to sit still, to go into meditation, to really know yourself, that is where true wisdom and true knowledge really begins. And that knowledge that you gain from inward gazing is a much deeper and truer knowledge that you will ever gain from, say, getting your astrology chart read, for getting tarot cards read, for going to a psychic, for having your palms read. When you truly know yourself, when you take time to sit, and when you take time to build that inner sanctum, you really begin to gain not only the knowledge and not only build a solid foundation, but you'll be able to weather whatever storm that is going on in your life. You'll be able to be aware of what's going on around you, as well as what is going on inside of you. So I wanted to share today is a meditation technique, because I know it's not easy for everyone to just sit, and especially when you're first starting off in meditation. I mean, for me, my meditation is mostly just sitting in silence with my eyes closed, because I like to close my eyes, or using my prayer shawl, because I do like external, I like accoutrements to assist me. But generally speaking, I spent 10 years driving in my car with no radio. And even though now that I have a newer car, I still, most of the time, almost all the time, I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, drive with the radio off. But I know for some people, and especially when you're first starting out, it's difficult to just have that silence and nothing else around you. That is why one meditation that I think really works great, and I've done it myself and I've used it on many occasions, using a flame, which is usually why you see I have a candle or fire going on in the background. You can, let's see if I can light this without blowing myself up. Can you see this flame? Let me see if I can take this off. That's probably, that makes it easier. Isn't this beautiful? So you can have a meditation session where you take a candle, have it either on a stand or on a table right in front of you, maybe about between 12 and 18 inches in front of you, away from you. Have it so that it is at eye length, eye level, which is what I mean, which is about where this candle is right now. And sitting in meditation, meditating, using concentration, concentrating on the flame. And another technique you can use while you're doing that is, as you're staring at the candle in silence, staring at the candle, every time you inhale, almost imagine as if you're inhaling the flame, and as you exhale, imagine that you're exhaling the flame. And it's a way of concentration and training the mind to concentrate. Now, what can happen sometimes is that while you're meditating on the candle, you know, as you're breathing and breathing deep and going into that meditation, say there was an issue that you were having with someone, and all of a sudden, what pops into mind? Something that you hadn't thought of. Maybe a behavior of yours that up until that time, for whatever reason, you thought that behavior was perfectly normal and it was okay. You know, that's one of the great things about taking time to go sit in silence and go into meditation, because the truth of who you are and the truth that your higher self has to teach to you, has to show to you, it will all of a sudden reveal itself. Sometimes you may not necessarily feel happy, or you might feel like a tinge of embarrassment or shame or whatever. But the thing is not that the meditation is, you know, getting to know yourself is not showing you all the ways that, you know, you did this, you could have done this better. It's in order for you to grow. Just heard the rugby players screaming. Maybe they're watching a game. I don't know if you heard that or not. But anyway, when you take time to sit in stillness and silence, answers that you didn't even know that you were looking for will show up in your life. And that is information. You know, people like to go to tarot card readers or to astrologers or to psychics. And I say that even though I do read tarot cards, but more of in an energetic way of, you know, being on the spiritual path, not for fortune telling or what have you. But you don't need me. You don't need anyone else. Sitting in meditation, whether it's concentration meditation, as right now, staring at this flame, or sitting in silence with your eyes closed. The answers, the truth, the knowledge that you seek or didn't even realize that you're seeking, it will start to reveal itself to you. One of the other benefits, or rods or palms or any of those devices, you know, things have their place. If you're divining for water, one of the other benefits of meditation, as you begin to quiet yourself, it helps to get you in touch with the divine energy that is your portion in this life, which enhances your intuitive ability and all different sorts of latent abilities that we all have. So I encourage you to, you know, if you want to venture out into meditation, get yourself a candle. And please never leave a candle unattended. That's, you know, not a good thing. But it is a method to help. And if you remember any of my older videos where I kind of led you through a meditation and I used Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Blooming Lotus, where, you know, you like breathing in, I breathe in calm, breathing out, I breathe out relaxation, or breathe in, I breathe in peace. As I breathe out calm. Another meditation that you can do using a candle is when you're staring at the candle, whatever the affirmation that you have, whether it's breathing in, you know, for instance, here's an example from my studies that I was doing earlier, because I am studying for a metaphysical sciences degree. And one of the meditations we're instructed is like you're looking at the candle, concentrating on the candle, and as your eyes are open looking at the candle, you recite, let go, and then you close your eyes And of course, when you close your eyes, you can still see the flickering flame inside your mind's eye. So you're staring at the candle and you're like, let go. And then you close your eyes, relax. And then you open your eyes, let go. And it's sort of like training your mind in concentration. So you can come up with whatever words or phrase that you want to do, and you repeat them 7 times, 21 times, 9 times, 18 times, however much you want to go throughout your meditation. And as I mentioned before, let me set that there. I'm not going to put the glass on it because knowing me, I'll get right up and knock it over. As I mentioned before, I'm going to show you. Let's see. There is the Insight Timer app, A-P-P. Insight Timer. I don't know, can you see that? Because I still see the flame in my face, my eyes. Maybe you can see that a little bit. Insight Timer app is a free app on Android operating system, as well as, and I still see the flame. And my eyes are closed and I can still see that flame. Insight Timer app, as well as iOS, iPhone operating system. And this one, it's showing that it has 2,900 people across the world that are using this app are actually meditating right now. And those little dots show where they're all meditating, where their location is. And as I showed you before, with this app, you have various settings. Let's see, can you hear this? And these beautiful bells. That's the one I like. And not so much that one. There's one called Umber. Yeah, I like that one. And there's even a and you can even do it in silence. So basically, wow, that was a cool one. So like for instance, I have a 10-minute meditation set up, and there's a warm-up so you can get yourself in position. And then it starts the meditation. Now, of course, you can set it for whatever setting that you want. Normally, I just have it when it starts the meditation, it just plays one bell, not the 3. I usually like to have 3 bells at the end. And you can time your meditation so that way, while you're doing the meditation, you're not thinking to yourself, okay, how long have I been doing this now? How long have I been doing this now? You can set it for 3 minutes and feel no shame setting it for 3 minutes. I'm just doing this so it's not reflecting the chat room. You can do it for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes. You know, it doesn't matter how long you do it when you're starting off, just as long as you sit and you do it. And then at the end, it will play the bell again. And then here, I'll show you. Let's see. I'm ending it prematurely early. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay, it's not going to do the bell. But anyway, then it shows you all the people who were meditating with you. You can see my little picture up there. And then all of the people who were meditating with me. And what's also cool, it'll show you these are all the people who live nearby me that were meditating. And there are groups that you can join. You know, I said we need to join another group, but if you like to communicate with other people and ask questions about meditation, these are all the different people from the various groups that are actually meditating at the time. So there are lots of things out there that you can use to help you. I remember someone said to me that they didn't have a zafu or a zabuton, which is the pillow and the cushion. You don't need that. You can sit on your bum on the floor. I'm sitting in a chair. You can sit in a chair. You can go to Target or where did I get this rug at? I got this at like Marshall's, and get yourself a nice rug for $8 or $9. Roll it up and sit on that. I would recommend, however, you not lay down on the bed because you will more than likely fall asleep. And unlike when you're getting a massage, if you fall asleep, it's no big deal. You want to stay conscious. You during meditation, you want to be awake, okay? And you want to be able to get to the or thrift shop, as DJ said. A thrift shop is it's a perfect place. You want to be consciously awake while you're meditating. And the more you practice, the deeper your meditation can become, to the point where you're completely oblivious to the fact that you have a body, and it's just like you're at the level of just pure consciousness, pure awareness, and you can get there. So hey, if you have any questions about meditation, I will be more than happy to assist you however I can. Just hit me up with a message. Here locally for the last 4 years, I have ran a meditation group, and we did take a break for the last couple months, but we're starting up again this coming Saturday morning, and see who comes out that early in the morning. And I think I might try to do a live with it. I usually do the meditations at my office, and I don't really have internet in my office, so we will see. But anyway, let me just check the Facebook, the chat room. Okay. So if anyone has any final questions for me before I end. Oh, I would like to share, I received a gift in the mail today, a really cool book, and it's called Hermetic Alchemy. It's another Paul Foster Case book, and I received this as a gift, and I'm very grateful for it. One of the best gifts in the world to receive are books. They're like little worlds of wisdom in there. And see, the thing about, I am not against receiving knowledge from outside source, but I am definitely against if that's your only source of knowledge is what comes from the outside. I'll give a little example, and Chris will be like, let it go. I had made a comment on someone's video about some thoughts that I had when I was 3 years old. And one of the responders, another comment, responded to me that that was absolutely impossible for me to have such thoughts because 3-year-olds are incapable of abstract thinking at 3 years old. And I'm like, I know exactly what I was thinking and how old I was. And, my earliest memories of when I was 2 years old. And so anyway, I was talking to Chris about that earlier, and it caused me to go online to search, are 3-year-olds able to contemplate? Are 3-year-olds able to abstract think? And I ended up on this website called, and it's a really cute website. I was only on the one page. Where was that page? Did I lose it? It was called something about gifted hoagies. I don't know how it got that name, but the name of the website was, let me see if this is it. It was called, oh, I think I might have lost it. Anyway, it was a website dedicated to people who had gifted children, and they wrote they wrote on the website, it was mothers, mostly mothers, who wrote into the website. Let me see if I can bring it up because it was really cool. And it on the website, oh, here it is. It's called Hoagie's. Hold on, let me go back up to the top. It's called Hoagie's Gifted Education Page, the All Things Gifted page. You know you're the parent of a gifted child when, and then they're different. Here, I'll share the page so you can see what I'm talking about. And is that it? There we go. All right, can you see that? Yeah. So this is the page right here. And I thought it was really cool. And basically, it's younger kids. The kids range, some of the youngest was like 18 months old. And it's just stories that these mothers would write in. I mean, not even the darndest thing that children would say, but some of this stuff is really deep. And it just reminds me, you know, nothing frustrates me more than when you share something and then someone, and this is it's really important. Chris is right. I should share this because the main reason why I wanted to share it is when you truly know something in your heart of hearts and you know it, and you know this is something that has happened to you, never allow someone to tell you that that was impossible, that that could not have possibly happened. Because, you know, if people decide to limit themselves and limit what the human capacity is simply because the experts say that that's not possible and it couldn't have happened, you know, you have to get to a place where you just let that go. Because if you know something, like for instance, my earliest memory is from when I was 2 years old to it was spring of 1973. And I wasn't 3 because my birthday is not until the fall. And I remember my father taking me to fly a kite, and he had a Carmagia, a beautiful convertible Carmagia, and we went to fly. Not did I say airplane? A kite. Yes, I said a kite. And I remember the kite going up, up, up so high that we could not pull the string down. We couldn't pull it down anymore. I mean, it was stuck. It was way up there in the Chicago winds by Lake Michigan. And I remember this. And I remember trying to roll the kite back down and it wouldn't come back down. And I was really distraught. And I remember those emotions vividly. As I got older and as I became an adult, you know, and I would share that story. And, you know, people like, wow, how could you remember something so young? And I remember. But then they're starting to get to a point where I kind of doubted myself. Was this true? Did I really remember this? Until a couple of years ago, and it was after I was 40 years old, a couple of years ago, my dad sent me a birthday card. And this birthday card was from that day, because I still remember that ugly plastic fur coat that I had on, because it looked like a coat. It looked like a plastic bag that had duct tape wrapped around it. And the date on the picture was spring 1973. And I actually remembered. And the issue at hand was, I said that my earliest memory was when I was 3 years old. I was probably around the same time, the spring of 3 or maybe the summer. And I remember thinking how I had a family and how I was connected to my family, but I also believed that the other people outside of my house were family too, that we were all connected. And I didn't know the term connected. For me, my limited vocabulary at 3 was that those people were my family as well, but they were just a different kind of family. They were distant from me, but they were still my family. So I had posted this on this YouTube channel, and someone came back and said, that was impossible. 3-year-olds are incapable of abstract thinking. And I'm like, wait a minute. But this is the thoughts that I had when I was 3. I remember age 4 is when I started thinking, who the heck is my mother, and where did this person come from, and what is a mother, and why is she my mother? But anyway, So this person said, oh, it's impossible, and this is impossible, blah, 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 and that a 2-year-old can't even carry a conversation. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I know when 16 years ago, I worked at my local Jewish community center where my son was in daycare, and there was a 2-year-old little girl there, and she had just recently turned 2, and her mother would bring her in for babysitting, and I would have conversations with this girl about what went on in her house and what her mother said and what they cooked and what they made, and I remember feeling astounded at how I could have a coherent and concentrated conversation with this 2-year-old girl. She was also potty trained, completely potty trained at 2. I remember thinking, wow, this little girl, and it was almost eerie and slightly freaky that I would have these conversations with this 2-year-old child. So I just share that with you to also demonstrate that as human beings, we are capable of so much, and it's only through limited thinking, people's limited thinking, people telling other people what they're capable of, and what we're not capable of. We are capable of so much, and you know, we are able to really tap into that capacity, that capability by meditating and go within. When we allow ourselves to be distracted, when we allow ourselves to only be entertained from the external, to only receive our information from the external, when we allow ourselves to engage in drugs and addictions that cloud our judgment, that cloud our growth, those are, what's causes us to have limitations in ourselves. Listening to what other people tell us is possible and not possible, and engaging in things that dim our thinking, that block our light. Because when we engage in things that, hold our brains in addictions, and it blocks our lights and blocks the light that is within us that can truly grow and develop, as my teacher, the late Dr. Masters of University of Metaphysics, calls our mystic power. When we do things to dull our light and block our mystic power, that's where we hurt ourselves. But anyway, I got to get going. I got to go pick my little one up from the bus. So I thank you with all of my heart for joining me in this sacred circle today, for sharing our ideas, not only me talking here, but people sharing in the chat room. I invite you to take a moment to remember our ancestors and all those who have transitioned before us. I thank you and wish you peace and great bliss. Peace.